Welcome back to the basement. I'm Steve Lewis. It's been a long time since we did one of these cool stuff episodes, and I'm hoping over the next 3 weeks to catch up on news and some viewer comments. It's also the first episode of this kind since Brian Wilson passed away on June 11th. And I wanted to thank everybody for the warm and thoughtful comments left on episode 276.1, which I posted when I heard the news. It really meant a lot to me to hear what other fans were thinking and feeling at such a profoundly sad time. And I hope that this channel will continue in some small way to spotlight his work, his legacy, and the amazing story of Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. I have a few more thoughts along those lines, but I'll save them for toward the end of the episode. Turning to happier developments, Al Jardine released a new 4-track digital EP on May 30th. The first track on the EP is the title track, Islands in the Sun. It opens with an a cappella vocal snippet that, as Al says, owes less to the Beach Boys than it does to South African vocal group Ladysmith Black Mambazo. The songwriting credit is to Al, and it reportedly originated around 1996 during the Stars and Stripes period. It obviously didn't fit in with that project and went unfinished. Al says the released version is a completely new re-recording. There's a lyric video for it that you can find on YouTube. It features backing vocals by Bruce Johnston, Matt Jardine, Marianne Jardine, the Carmel River School Choir, the Captain Cooper Elementary School Choir, and the Santa Catalina School for Girls Choir, and has Al doing a dead-on Mike Love impersonation on the low vocal. It's a Margaritaville kind of song, not in its sound or style so much as in its attitude. Of course, it's also bound to remind you of Kokomo and Al's earlier Island Girl. There's an overt Caribbean theme in the calypso feel, marimbas, and in the lyrics. Al's lead vocal and the acoustic guitars are also reminiscent of the Kingston Trio's gentler calypso-influenced recordings like Jamaica Farewell, Bay of Mexico, and even their Sloop John B. It's pleasant and enjoyable, and the folk touches make it sound very genuinely Al Jardine to me. The folk influences are even clearer on the second track, My Plane Leaves Tomorrow, Au Revoir. After a snippet of a BBC News report, the song itself begins very much like All My Sorrows from the 1959 album The Kingston Trio at Large. All My Sorrows is based in turn on All My Trials, also known as Bahamian Lullaby, reportedly first recorded by Bob Gibson in 1956, though like a lot of folk songs, its roots probably go back much further. The track features a co-lead vocal by Neil Young, which was recorded in 2010 when he collaborated with Al on Campfire Scene and California Saga from A Postcard from California. According to Al, the song wasn't even finished at the time, but he got Neil's vocal down at those sessions for future use. Backing vocals are by Matt and Adam Jardine, and taps is played on trumpet by renowned bassist Flea. Even with the more pronounced acoustic folk feel, it features a drum kit, piano, and a very subtle calypso feel that ties it in nicely with the opening track. The third track, Highway 101, Rosarita Beach Cafe, is credited to Jardine Lieber Stoller and is a lyrical rewrite of Lieber and Stoller's Smokey Joe's Cafe. Smokey Joe's Cafe was first recorded by the Robins in 1955. Of course, Mike did something similar with Lieber and Stoller's 1954 song for the Robins, Riot in Cell Block Number 9, rewriting it in 1971 as Student Demonstration Time. I wasn't able to find the source of Al's inspiration for the new lyrics. There's a song called Rosarita Beach Cafe written by Bill Martin that seems to have first appeared in 1971 on Hexagram 16, an album by former member of the association Rush Jaguar. The song was also recorded by Warren Zevon and released posthumously on Preludes in 2007. It's a slow, mournful ballad, and as far as I can tell, the only relationship to Al's song is the title. Al's new lyrics might simply be a way to give the song a Baja California beach theme. If anybody has any additional insights into the lyrics, please let me know. Al's recording rocks pretty good with some particularly nice bari sax from Paul Tarantino and piano by Scott Slaughter. Longtime Beach Boys associate Ed Carter is there on bass, and the tenor sax by the legendary Steve Douglas is a standout. Of course, Steve Douglas passed away in 1993, so this is obviously another track that has been a while in the making. The EP's final track, Crumple Car, was originally written by Danny Aberg and Phil Pritchard and seems to have first appeared on the soundtrack of an obscure surfing documentary from 1970 called The Innermost Limits of Pure Fun, shot in Australia and California about the shortboard revolution in surfing. The soundtrack was by a band called Farm and was released in a small pressing on the Rebel label in 1970. As you can see on the back cover, Farm included Daryl Dragon's brothers, Dennis and Doug, and others who would go on to work with the Beach Boys like Ernie Knapp, along with Ed Carter and Daryl Dragon. The Crumple Car song was reused briefly in the 1978 surf drama Big Wednesday, starring Jan Michael Vincent and Gary Busey. The screenplay for Big Wednesday was co-written by one of the song's authors, Denny Aberg. A soundtrack album for Big Wednesday was released in 2004. With the 1970 Innermost Limits of Pure Fun achieving some level of cult status, Sundazed Records reissued the soundtrack with a new cover in 2015. According to Al's website, it was Denny Aberg's friend, Beach Boys band member Ed Carter, who brought the song to Al's attention. Al added a verse and restructured the song, giving the lyrics a more ecological focus. I'm not sure when Al first recorded it, but there's a bootleg version that apparently goes back as far as 1991. According to narrative on Al's website, the version on Islands in the Sun features Ed Carter doing the finger-picking guitar that dominates the track. In notes further down the same page, it credits Ed Carter with bass and foot stomps, and Al with guitar, lead vocal, and whistling. Despite its origins in two 1970s surf movies, the sound is not at all something you would associate with surf music. Instead, it has a light, decidedly folk or 70s singer-songwriter feel along the lines of some of the work of Bruce Cockburn or Loudon Wainwright. Sometimes when things are recorded over a long period of time, like these tracks seem to have been, the feeling is either disjointed or unfocused or lacking energy. I don't find that to be at all true here. There's a pleasing variety to the songs, but they complement each other well and make a coherent and enjoyable overall impression. The production has the same kind of clarity throughout, which also helps tie it together. Moreover, the influences on display here, calypso, sunny yacht rock, 50s R&B, acoustic folk, and especially the Kingston Trio, seem true to Al's musical interests. It's the kind of music we expect from Al, and that's not a bad thing, especially when it's done as well as these songs are. I get the feeling that this is the music Al genuinely wanted to create with very little calculation about trying to sound modern or commercial. In that way, Islands in the Sun exudes a pleasant confidence, feels focused, and makes for a really enjoyable listen. I hope there's more along these lines to come. And of course, Al is also touring with the Pet Sounds Band this summer. It doesn't look like Al will be getting close enough to the Detroit area for me to catch any of the shows, and I've still never seen an Al Jardine live show. If anybody goes to any of the concerts, I hope you'll pass along your thoughts. I'd love to know how it was. Another Beach Boys related release came on the April 12th, 2025 Record Store Day. The Makaha Sessions on the cover says, featuring Wrecking Crew members Hal Blaine, Don Randy, and Jerry Cole. On the album's spine and on the record label, it credits featuring Hal Blaine, Don Randy, Jerry Cole, and David Marks. It was recorded over 2 days in 2007 as a soundtrack for a yet-to-be-completed documentary to be called Makaha, The Story of the Originator. It's the story of Larry Stevenson, considered the father of modern skateboarding and Makaha boards. A trailer for the unfinished film can be found on YouTube. The legendary Wrecking Crew players are augmented with other musicians, including Nelson Bragg and our friend Adam Marsland, and a number of session vocalists. Mostly, the songs are sound-alike versions of 60s West Coast hits like Be My Baby, Monday Monday, California Dreamin', and Beach Boys hits Sloop John B., Wouldn't It Be Nice, and Good Vibrations. It seems pretty clear that the filmmakers must have calculated that in 2007, commissioning sound-alike versions would cost less than licensing the originals for their movie. There are only 2 original songs on the album. Both are surf instrumentals. Tower 17 is written by Sean Bryant and sounds vaguely in places like Del Shannon's Runaway. Closing out side 1 is Denny's Wave, written by David Marks and Nelson Bragg. It's a mid-tempo rocker with lead guitar by David Marks and some freaky psychedelic organ playing from Don Randy. Of course, it's pretty easy to guess who the Denny of the song's title is. Both of the originals feature the same players: David Marks, Sean Bryant, Don Randy, and Nelson Bragg. David Marks is also among guitarists Jerry Cole, Sean Bryant, and Adam Marsland on 2 other tracks, Surf City and Sidewalk Surfin'. There's certainly nothing essential here. I imagine it was issued as an album largely for the filmmakers to hopefully recoup some of their investment. Of course, since 2007, both Hal Blaine and Jerry Cole have passed away. The album is notable for the legendary status of some of the players, and for me, Denny's Wave is the highlight simply for being co-written by and featuring David Marks. The album comes in a nice gatefold sleeve, and the record itself is on this very cool tangerine-colored vinyl. I love colored vinyl. I won't buy a record just for colored vinyl, but I'm always very happy when I get it. A very cool re-recording was recommended to me on episode 277, The Monkey's Uncle. Larry Jacobs, Daddy Bog, Joel Goldenberg, and James Watson all let me know about the Fendertones' fantastic version of The Monkey's Uncle song from roughly 2012. You can find the performance here on YouTube, and it is absolutely delightful. It's so much fun to see it recreated live with such dead-on precision, and the lead vocalist hits Annette's oddly placid vocal delivery perfectly without making it any kind of parody. With so many people telling me about it, I started feeling like I'm the only Beach Boys fan who didn't know about it, but I posted the link in the description for this episode, and if you haven't seen it, I think you'll really enjoy it. Additionally, Stevie JD1 gave me a link to a behind-the-scenes making of the Fendertones video. It's also a lot of fun, and I've also put that link in the video description. Going back to episode 256, the Beach Boys on Series TV Part 2, Kyle Dorr reminded me about the Beach Boys' August 30th, 1994 appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman. As Kyle pointed out in his comment, it doesn't exactly fit the theme of the Beach Boys on Series TV. Nevertheless, it's a very cool appearance and one that I thought was well worth covering here. It came about 2 years after their Home Improvement appearance and about 14 months before Baywatch. Instead of a regular talk show appearance, David Letterman brings the group, with Matt Jardine, out to sing the introduction to each item on his nightly Top 10 list. It's the first anniversary of the show on CBS, and that night's category is Top 10 Things from Our First Year of the Show. The Beach Boys sing each number on the list to the tune of a Beach Boys song. They do Their Hearts Were Full of Spring or A Young Man Is Gone for number 10, after which Mike ad-libs an excellent response to one of Dave's comments. Barbara Ann is used for number 9. In My Room is sung for number 8. The tune to Help Me Rhonda is used for number 7. California Girls covers number 6. I Get Around is used for the number 5. Wouldn't It Be Nice is used for number 4, with Carl singing the new lyric, Wouldn't It Be Nice If These Were Funny? Good Vibrations is used for number 3. Kokomo with Carl on a soaring vocal is used for number 2. And the tune for Fun, Fun, Fun is used for number 1. The Beach Boys then exit with Goodbye lyrics sung to a medley of Surfin' Safari and 409. You can find it here on YouTube. It's a lot of fun and definitely worth checking out. And thanks, Kyle, for reminding me of it. And that'll just about do it for this week. Next week, I want to carry on with more viewer comments, concentrating in particular on feedback that I received on episodes 275 and 276 concerning the Summer Days and Summer Nights album. And in the roughly 1 month since Brian passed, as you might imagine, I've been spending a lot of time revisiting his music. And I found myself particularly drawn to later work, like stuff from That's Why God Made the Radio and No Peer Pressure, which came only 13 and 10 years ago, respectively. And there's stuff I've always loved on those records, but now I'm finding that they suddenly feel a lot more special. At the time, those days seemed a little pale, certainly in comparison to the Beach Boys' heyday. Now suddenly it seems like we were living in wondrous times with new Brian Wilson music. With this channel, I spend a lot of time looking back fondly at the past. I'm taking that listening experience for myself as a reminder to pay attention and appreciate the present, for it too will soon be past. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you'll join me again next week. In the meantime, have a great week. Bye.